Welcome to the channel. I'm Elena. Today we're gonna talk about your most asked questions. So let's start. What markers to buy first? It depends. What is it that you want to color? And it depends also if you already have some markers. If you already have some markers, then the best thing to do would be to complement what you already have. And what color do you like? Do you like a very bright yellow? Do you want a yellow that will give you that almost getting to the reddish for fall? Or do you want the yellow that is kind of like greenish also because it's spring? So it all depends on you. The thing about going to the channel and going to the playlist is that you will be able to choose once you see them. And once you see how they behave, you can actually buy 4 markers, which is the underpainting, darkest, medium, and the lightest of the combination. And then maybe choose another 2 and you get another combination. So that's what I would do. I would not go and buy the sets. I would go and choose what colors I want. Seek asked, what are colors used as shade and shadow that are unorthodox? And I'm assuming that Seek is referring to something other than the natural family combination, like R29, R27, R24. So this is going to vary from family to family. The first thing I would do to make it different, it would be to underpaint it. That will give you a more realistic coloring instead of just the regular R29, R27, and R24. The second I would do is to change the lighter color. I have R29, and then we have R27 and R24. It's a beautiful combination. It blends beautifully. You don't have to do much to it. So that will be our first combination. And let's say I'm gonna use B32 to underpaint it. So it's going to be again R29 on top. I didn't color it up. R27 and R24. So this will be our first combination, right? Now let's say I want it lighter, the end of it. So I am gonna go get maybe an R05. Okay, R05 is going to give us, let's underpaint this. We start with R29, R27, and we're gonna end it with R05. Do you see how this combination, it has a little bit of, it doesn't have yellow. This art does not have yellow, but the colorless blender added to it is making it look lighter, maybe a little bit on the orangey kind of color. So that is gonna give you something different. That is not the regular combination. Now let's say that you want something darker. We're gonna do it again. R29, R27, and now I'm gonna get R. Ooh, this would not make it darker. This is R35. So I'm thinking R37. Still not dark enough. let's do our 56. This is gonna give it a hint of burgundy. You see that end? This is different family. Well, it's the same family, just different number. Now, this is gonna be different. So, with, let me see, 1, 2, 3, which is the family combination, we have this one, and then we have it underpainted. And then with 2 more, I'm gonna have other shades of red. So that's what I would use. That's what I would do. I play with the markers all the time. I'm always swatching. And that's the answer. We don't have a magic marker that is gonna give us the exact color that we're looking, the exact combination that is gonna work for everybody. So to end this answer, don't feel as if you wasted 30 minutes choosing your colors. And you learn a lot. Next time, you will have that image of, okay, R56 is gonna give me like a more serious look, a little bit more of a Christmas kind of look, and not the vibrant combination that R29 usually gives us. R05 is gonna give you a orange kind of feel. So it's always good to be swatching. I do not write down the colors unless I'm gonna make a video, then I need to show you what I'm using. But I don't write it down because if I write it down, then I will use it next time again and again and again, the same combination. That's what happens. That's how we use a lot some of the markers, and some others we barely touch because we don't swatch as often. Sarah asked, I have trouble making the really thin lines and sometimes with blending. She wants to know if the lack of colors or the technique. The lines is going to depend on how thin you want it. Copic markers, if you see here, the nib is not very, very thin. And especially that, because it's a brush, if you try, and you have to have a very steady hand if you want it to not look like it's bleeding and you just want a very thin line. So it could be that. It could be that you need a new nib because the new nibs are going to be a little bit harder, so it's easier to control. Let me see. For the blending, I think it's going to be the technique. So for the technique, let me get another piece of paper. Oh, I have it right here. For the blending, I think it's going to be the speed. So I always say respect the speed. The speed means this. This is the marker that I'm gonna underpaint with. And I'm gonna go the fastest with it. You see my flicks are very fast. Then we're gonna go with the darkest in my combination that is still R29. Make the fence. And this is fast. Just making sure that I cover it. R27. It's gonna be medium speed. Longer swipes. And then R24. R24 is gonna be the lightest, it's gonna be the slowest. This is the one that's gonna help us to blend. And if you don't like this blending, then you can just go one more time. Remember, there has to be enough wet ink for it to blend. So now, these markers, because they're in the family combination, they blend very well. So here you might not have any problems. The speed helps. But remember that not all 3 or 4 marker combination or family combinations are going to match. If I want to, let's say I use R20 instead of R24. So this will be a case where the lack of markers would be the problem. So this is underpainting. Then we get R29. We are respecting the speed. R27. And then I'm going to use R20. So here you can see it's going to look stripy. It's not going to look very blended. I can keep going with it and it will eventually going to look like a blend, but it's not going to be a perfect blend. And this is perfect for like flowers, because you know flowers don't, the petals of flowers, they don't blend completely. Okay, Annette asked, changing nibs. For example, I switch from a big one, and I'm guessing this is a chisel nib, to a brush nib. How do I change a nib? So it's really easy. Let me just get a marker that is not gonna stain a lot. I just do this, get it out, put in the new one. That's it. This is what I do also to refill. I just take this one out, refill from here, and then put it back in. I've seen people that have the marker and they have the brush nib on both sides. I don't do that because I ain't gonna be touching one all the time, and I'm not gonna be able to tell which one it is because I keep refilling my markers. So that's why I prefer just to leave it like this. I never use this one, the chisel nib. So I would just leave it like this and leave this one, unless you want to do calligraphy. Then I've seen some nibs that are tiny bitty. We don't have them at the store, but if you want them, let me know. And maybe that's how you can justify changing it. But other than that, I don't usually change them much. Wendy asked, and this one is, everybody asks that. I'm gonna go with what has worked for me and what my friends have done and has worked for them. Does it really affect in any way to store Copics vertically? I store mine, as you see, like this, vertically. And they're fine. I never have problems with leaks, as long as both caps are closed. Also, if you go to a store and they sell Copics, they're usually slanted. They're not either vertically or horizontally, I think. Not sure that's how you pronounce it, but the Copic website recommends to store them horizontal to prevent the ink from leaking. But I noticed that happens a lot when you refill your markers too much, because it's very rare that that happens with a brand new marker, because it's refilled to the exact, which is gonna be like 14.4, 14.5. Does it matter how you store your Copics? In my experience, it has not damaged how I store them, either this way or in the store. We keep them slanted. We have never had any problems leaking. They do not dry. How much should Copics weigh? And for this, let me get a brand new one. A Copic marker that is brand new is 14.4 grams. Let's try this one. This one's also new. This one is 14.6. So, and these are both brand new. They just got here from the distributor. Now, this is the one that I use all the time. This is R29 and it's 14 grams. I will still keep it this way. I will not do anything to it yet. This one is 13.9. I will change it already. The average is going to be 14.4, 14.5. So every time that one of my markers is at 13 something, 13.9, it's time to refill. If it's 14, I let it go because I don't want them to be leaking. Even though this brand new, they hold pretty well at 14.6 and 14.4. And somebody, she did ask how much they weight without the caps, which is 9.5, and 9.7. So let's say that the average is going to be 9.6. So without the caps, 9.6. With the caps is going to be 14.5. And Connie asked, what is the colorless blender ink for? The simple answer is going to be to move ink. Not to erase, to move it. Let me show you what I mean. So this is R29. Colorless blender is not going to erase it. As you can see, it's starting to make it lighter, but it won't erase it. And imagine, and you see this? The ink is there. It's not like the ink is gonna go somewhere else. It's already on the paper. So we're gonna move it. This would be moving it. And it is gonna leave a big stain. So that's why I always say it's not for erasing. It's gonna move it. It's also good for textures. Let's say you want something with little dots. And it will start giving you that texture. It takes a little bit just because the ink is so, and remember, it's gonna move it away. So you're gonna have a dot like this, and then darker right here, and then the regular color that you used originally. That's why I say it moves it away. It disperses it, but it doesn't erase it. It's kind of like dirt. When you put water on it, it's kind of just like, it doesn't disappear. It's still there. It'll move to the side. So that's what colorless blender does. Textures, I've done a few projects like that where we do textures. Amy Shulk is really good at doing different textures with that. So that's it. That's what colorless blender does. These are the most asked questions that we have. If you have any other questions, put them in the description box.